Hello everyone and welcome to Everlasting Summer. Welcome back. Hello everyone and welcome back to Everlasting Summer. Freaking car, are you serious? Hello everyone and welcome back to Everlasting... Okay, I got this. I swear I got this. Hello everyone and welcome back to Everlasting Summer. Last time we were here, we found Shurik in the dark. And a little crazy. Not quite we, but Semyon stared at the most troublesome of the group while he was butt naked. We found ingredients for a cake that didn't even use the strawberries. And we didn't even get any of it, so there's that. And now we're gonna go on a hike, quite possibly. Don't know what that's gonna lead up to. All the camp was already there, although it was about 10 minutes before the time Olga had designated. I settled down near the edge and waited patiently. Night was falling. If viewed from the outside, what a fairly comical picture we would make. A crowd of pioneers lined up out of sheer habit, like they were awaiting silent command from the bronze Genda. And all this happening in the scarlet rays of the sunset. And there he is, waving his hand and screaming attack as roaring soldiers with red neckerchiefs charge into the battle against some ghostly enemy. Everyone is all unarmed. No one survives. But Olga showed up and started to talk instead of Genda. It seems everybody is here. Great. I was so tired today that I couldn't even think about anything, so I ended up just listening to the camp leader. Now, today, we'll go hiking. It is essential for every pioneer to be able to come and rescue his comrade, to offer a helping hand in the hour of need, saving them from a hopeless situation. Raises eyebrows at Shurik. We have to learn to do all these things together. A whisper that ran through the pioneer crowd suggested that most probably this truly epic expedition would end in a clearing in the forest, several hundred feet away from the square. Somehow I thought so too. We'll walk in pairs. So if you haven't chosen a partner for yourself yet, now's the right time to do so. Pioneers quickly caught on to the idea and started to match in pairs. It looked like I was the only one without a partner. Slavya was enthusiastically discussing something with Olga Dmitrievna. Lena was with Miku. Electronic was, of course, with Shurik. Well, it might not be a bad idea to go alone after all. Semyon? The voice of the camp leader pulled me out of my thoughts. I went up to her reluctantly. I see that you haven't found a partner. You don't have to point it out, Olga. I know no one loves me. Seems like it. Then you'll join Xenia. She's alone too. I was struck with a special kind of despair that only a true loner can experience. So it appears that I'm left with a prickly librarian that I wouldn't risk spending a couple hours with even if I was paid for it. Oh, what? Come on, she was nice. She shows she can be nice. It's not like she's always... prickly. Like a cactus. Although we both seem to be in the same boat now. I slowly approach Xenia. Well, I guess we'll be going together. She looked up at me. Don't you even think that I'm glad, said Xenia seriously. Why on earth should you feel glad? I asked naively. Never mind. It would be much better if you just shut up. It couldn't get any better than this. She turned her back on me and followed the other pioneers. It's 'cause you're a butt, Semyon. 'Cause you're a butt. I still haven't seen any special reason to walk in pairs. Anyway, we were walking on the well-trodden forest trails, and it would be quite difficult to get lost here even if I wanted to. Moreover, while we've already been hiking for half an hour, we weren't rushing into the depths of the forest, trying to face all the dangers that could test our courage and harden our pioneer spirits, but instead we're just walking around in circles. However, if we take into account that Olga Dmitrievna was our chief, this hike could be compared to a hobbit's march from the Shire to Mordor. Just as Xenia insisted, I was following her at a distance in silence. The librarian seemed to be perfectly okay with it. Hey, don't you know when we'll reach our destination? Our what? The place where we'll settle down and set up camp. The whole point of this hike isn't to set up a camp, but the hiking itself. You don't get it. Yeah, it seemed that I didn't understand a thing about hiking. I guess you're right, but still. I don't know, she replied sharply and quickened her pace. I caught up with her and asked, Listen, why are you always so... I was about to say mean, but stopped short. Why do you always gotta stick up your butt? I haven't done anything bad to you, and I'm not going to. She glared at me in surprise. Always so... what? Well, unsociable, kind of. Or is it something about me? Oh, cut that stupidity out already. As you wish. Yes, ma'am. I decided not to start a conversation with her for the rest of the hike. At last, Olga Dmitrievna decided to end the Sisyphean toil. It's time to halt. The place chosen turned out to be quite a large glade with a few tree trunks laid in half a circle to make an improvised arbor, with the remains of a campfire in the middle. Weren't we here before, or are they just using the same background? Obviously, such hikes are a tradition of this camp. I was sent to gather firewood together with the other boys. It didn't take long because there was a lot of branches and logs of various sizes lying around. Eventually, Olga Dmitrievna lit the fire using some old newspapers. I was eager to know what was written there, but couldn't discern anything other than Soviet symbols. Pioneers took their places on the fallen log benches and started to talk about things. It seems that the final goal of this event had been achieved. The only things missing were a pot of fish soup, aluminum cups of vodka, and a guitar. But I wouldn't be surprised if all of these would appear somehow. What are you thinking about? Slavya sat next to me. Nothing special. Just enjoying the hike. I answered sarcastically. You don't look too happy. Well, I'm not about to jump for joy, sorry about that. Okay, I won't disturb you. She sat with me for a while, but after realizing that I wasn't in the mood for talking, she left me to enjoy my introspection all alone. Just go to sleep. Just fall back, go to sleep. And all I wished for was to lie down in bed and fall asleep as soon as possible, but I was being surrounded by smoke and the useless chatter of pioneers around me instead. They were cheering and laughing and in general enjoying this warm summer evening. In the far side of the glade, I noticed that Lena was arguing with Alyssa intensely. Ooh, get to gossip. Intensely, and Lena seemed like complete opposites to me. Slavya had left to go somewhere after our conversation, it seems. Electronic and Shurik were trying furiously to prove something to Olga Dmitrievna. Looks like I'm the only one who doesn't belong here. Find out what Lena and Alyssa are arguing about, or do nothing and just sit there. Well, if Semyon isn't gonna, pass out, then let's go find out that good gossip. But on the other hand, why should I care? All I was doing was just watching the fire. There's something There's a saying that claims that one could watch it forever as well as running water. But there was also some third thing there. What was that? One could watch three things forever: burning fire, running water, and how other people work. The camp leader pulled me out of my daydreaming. Semyon, don't you think this is too early to relax? Well, what else would I need to do? I honestly couldn't get what Olga Dmitrievna wanted from me. I don't know. She stopped for a moment. But if there's something to be done, then do it without hesitation. Wow. Thanks. I guess. She smiled ambiguously and went back to the fire to throw a few branches on. After those words, I am completely sure that she treats me like a personal slave. Or at least like I'm free labor force, which is, strictly speaking, the same thing. I sighed and put my head down on my hands, hoping my torments would be over for today. Someone patted me on the shoulder. I looked up and saw Shurik and Electronic, who sat next to me. What do you want? I asked tiredly. Don't be sad. Is there anything better to do? Look, we've been discussing the possibilities for the advancement of the Cybernetics Club with Olga Dmitrievna. And there's a problem. We need more guys. If you could. He hesitated. Advancement and those guys are incompatible with each other. I said nothing and started to look over the pioneers around me instead. Well, I don't have time. Can't you see that I'm always busy with the camp leader's errands? Be nicer! Be nicer! You're always so mean for no reason. I can understand that you're tired, but like... Be nicer. Jeez. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's kind of embarrassing how it all went today with Uliana. I looked at him with surprise. It seemed that Shurik blames himself for the cake accident. Yeah, it is. All the pioneers seemed to be here, but I couldn't spot Slavya anywhere. I think she's angry with me. Who? I asked absently. Uliana. Maybe I should apologize. No, it's not your fault. We sat silently for a while, and then I stood up and said, My legs are numb. I better take a walk. They made no reply. I made a few circles around our improvised camp, noticing the close looks of the camp leader following me. What do you want? What do you want from me? Looks like Olga Dmitrievna couldn't wait to come up with some kind of new task for me. Leave me alone! Haven't found Slavya anywhere. Maybe I should go and try to find her. On the other hand, I felt sorry for Uliana every time I recalled her upset face. Maybe this hike isn't the most entertaining thing ever, but sitting there all alone isn't any better either. But at the same time, I didn't want to go anywhere. Try to find Slavya, go to Uliana, remain seated. I'm willing to bet that this whole thing, since Olga and Slavya are always talking and they're pretty much like the leaders of this whole group, that Slavya left and everyone's supposed to, like, this whole thing is about being aware of your teammates and going to help them. I'm willing to bet Slavya left on purpose. So let's go to Slavya. I was absolutely sure that Slavya was alright, so I decided to stay. Okay. I guess. I guess that's enough for me today. I sat in my previous place and waited for the end of the hike patiently and almost physically able to feel the looks the camp leader aimed at me. At least she stood up and declared, "And now let's play cities." I had nothing against the game itself, but it was obvious that the hike will take longer because of it. Pioneers sat around the fire. I noticed Lena and Alyssa, who took their places on a trunk opposite me. It seems that everything's alright. And just a few minutes ago, I thought the opposite while looking at their quarrel. But anything is possible. I'd really like to know what they were talking about, but it's impossible now, and I could feel tiredness growing in me more and more. Well, I said go check, and then you decided not to. I'm pretty sure I clicked the options, right? Or am I just blind? I didn't realize they were highlighted wrong. My mind was completely blank. To be precise, my head was so heavy that there was no place in it for ideas to unfold. While in my better times my brain appeared to be a wide highway with millions of thoughts running by, chasing one another and causing major crashes, now it was more like a footpath lost in the woods, which is used rarely and only in exceptional cases. Slavya didn't come back. Maybe she had something to do? But once again, there's no way to find out. Okay, let's start. Moscow. Pioneer started to name cities. Finally, it was my turn. I tried to listen closely to catch the first letter of the city I'll have to use. Archangelus? I don't know. I see Arc and Angel in there. We played several rounds. Each new city name made it harder to remember everything that was mentioned before. My attention was dissipating, and I was already lost in all these capitals. Megalopus. Mega-something. Villages and urban settlements. Semyon, it's your turn. Olga Dmitrievna brought me back to reality. Oh, excuse me, and what was the last one? You're daydreaming again. It was Sevastopol. Okay, then I'll say London. Already used. Well then... It got me thinking. There were tons of cities in the world starting with L, but it was hard to remember even one of them now. Liverpool? Already there. Los Angeles? Ah, finally. She gave me a scornful look, but the game went on. Hey, I'm tired. Leave me alone. I could hardly bear to think of another city starting with L, but fortunately it was the last round. Okay, that's enough for today. It's already late. Time to go back. I sighed with relief. On our way back, we walked as we liked without joining in pairs. Night descended upon the camp. A perfectly regular and normal night. It was one of those nights when dark skies, stars, and even a crescent moon didn't cause any special feelings, and the chirping of crickets and the songs of the night birds seemed more like routine work noises than a nocturnal chorus. In a few minutes all the pioneers were lining up in the square. It was quite late already, and fatigue took its toll, so our lineup wasn't perfectly aligned. It looked to me more like a line of Vikings after a successful battle where the warriors are happy and smiling, anticipating their return to their families rather than thinking about maintaining correct formation. But someone else could possibly see a completely defeated troop or a bunch of survivors who had to march to their homeland with the last of their strength. Thanks, everyone. And now go to sleep, it's late already. Pioneers quickly each ran to their own ways, and I was left together with the camp leader. And we should go too. We went in complete silence to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. Okay, let's sleep. She said, turning off the light. I was tossing and turning for quite a while, recalling all the events of the day. On the one hand, I was overcome with fatigue. On the other hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd forgotten something, done something wrong, and said something wrong. And this feeling of incompleteness was tormenting me. It was about 2 a.m. All bad things would end sooner or later, or at least would take a break. I fell asleep. I don't know what time it was when Olga Dmitrievna woke me up, but even before opening my eyes I felt the imminence of death. My whole body ached, I felt dizzy, my mind was clouded by haze. "Semyon, wake up immediately, or you'll miss breakfast and, more importantly, the lineup. Looks like the camp leader intends to exploit me to the fullest today, the same as any other day." I garbled something, covered my head with the blanket, and turned to the wall. In the end, Olga Dmitrievna's anger will never go beyond words. At least I really wanted to believe so then. "Stand up right now, or what?" I was going to say triumphantly, but kept silent. Not because of fear, just because I felt too lazy to open my mouth. Really, what could she do to me? Lecture me at the lineup? Hang my photo on the wall of shame? Or use me for inhuman alien experiments? Well, I'm ready for that too, just let me sleep a couple of hours. Okay, but if you miss the lineup... The door slammed behind the camp leader, and the sleep which had been about to fade claimed my mind again. I woke up dazzled by sunlight. It was 1 p.m. according to my cell phone, which was squeezing the last drops of energy out of its battery. Strangely enough, my body didn't ache. My head felt clear, and all in all, it was a good beginning to the day. After waving my arms, pretending to do early exercises, I sprang out of the cabin and headed to the washstands. Yeah, I slept through breakfast, but we'll be served lunch soon, so I shouldn't worry that I'll have to stay hungry like I did yesterday. Whoa. Along the way, I met a pioneer whose face somehow looked strangely familiar. But I was going so fast I couldn't really see him, and when I turned around, he was already gone around the corner. Ooh. There was nobody near the washstands. Everyone is probably busy with Olga Dmitrievna's tasks, and God knows what else. I quickly brushed my teeth, washed my face, and was already going to leave when I suddenly heard the sound of water flowing from the opposite tap. Ooh! A pioneer leaned against a washstand over there. I couldn't see his face, but judging by his figure, he looked like the one I saw a couple minutes ago. "How are you doing? The sun's so bright today." I looked up into the sky, shielding my eyes with my palm. Yeah, nothing special. It wasn't easy to get a better look at the pioneer given the way he stood. The bright sunlight that reflected from the water and shiny metal surfaces of the washstands heavily obscured his face, and I wasn't able to distinguish any single feature. "The camp leader's angry today. So angry." His voice sounded painfully familiar, too. "Well, she's always like that." "Well, you'd know better, yeah." I try to remember if I've ever heard this voice or seen this pioneer before. "Well, see ya." He turned the water off and quickly marched toward the forest path. Doppelganger. For a second I thought of following him, stopping him, but I quickly fought it off as I decided that it's not worth spoiling such a great morning with suspicions and burdensome speculations. Nature was glowing with the bright light of life. Lush treetops were rhythmically swaying in the wind, whispering to each other. The breeze gently stroked the high emerald grass. Birds were cooing in the shade, escaping the midday heat. The woods and fields stretching beneath the horizon were dissolving in warm sunlight. I don't know which month it is now, but it looks like midsummer. I distinctly remembered the summer vacations of my childhood and youth. Times of fun, leisure, and carefree joy. Childhood games, how many there were. I wouldn't say no to playing war games or hide-and-seek now. Or swinging on a bungee. Or maybe building sandcastles and inhabiting it with toy soldiers ready to defend their master to the last drop of their plastic blood. You should have chased down that doppelganger. Ooh. Didn't you ever hear about... If you see your doppelganger, you're probably gonna die. And then there's this, I think there's this one anime where they had that. I remember there's like 3 doppelgangers or something. There's the original and like 2 others. And then one of them tried to kill another, and it was wild. I went to the square and sat on the bench waiting for lunch. It looked like there wasn't much time left before it. From time to time, pioneers passed by me, sometimes alone, sometimes in pairs or groups of 3. But always someone I didn't know. Alyssa, Olyana, Lena, or Slavya were nowhere to be seen. Thoughts of the meaninglessness of existence were circling in my brain, but this didn't worry me on such a beautiful day. Just think about it. Who could think of grieving for his life lived in vain or lost early while basking in the rays of such a friendly sun? Certainly not me. I looked upon Genda. He was meditating as always. Now he definitely never gets any unnecessary doubts. I remember my first hours in this camp and the day before, the anguish, the anxiety, and fear. That all seems so far away now, although so little time has passed. Will I get out of here or not? It didn't concern me as much as before. Maybe I'm already dead. Then this is the last stop. Please get off the train. Ooh, he's back again! What are you thinking about? I looked up and saw that pioneer I'd seen before. I couldn't see his face again as the sun was shining in my eyes. You know, life. It seemed he would sit down next to me, but the pioneer stayed in the same spot, only half turned, which completely killed any hope of seeing his face. Look at me, damn it! Listen, have we met earlier? I don't think I remember you. Well, let's say that you know who I am. But I don't. I laughed sincerely. Here, you don't. Here, you don't. He answered short. I see. Honestly, it's not like I didn't want to talk. I just didn't know what to talk about. Is he cooler than me? Is he hotter than me? And my soul was so calm that it didn't bother me. Your first time here? Oops, I'm kind of going into the electronic end of the voice spectrum. He asked the question, but his tone implied he was only expecting a confirmation. Yeah, and you? Me? He paused for a few seconds. No, it's not my first time here. One might say that I visited this camp every year since my early childhood. Such an answer got me interested. Well, and what was it like before? It's always the same. Olga Demetra now being the camp leader, all the same pioneers around, all the same lineups at the morning, and all these wicked accidents. Wait. Accidents? For a moment I thought that it was me speaking, not him. Interesting. It's just that, with every new... He hesitated. Year. More and more interesting things happen, and one gets to understand better what's going on. What are you talking about? This conversation positively triggered my curiosity. It's a pity that I can't distinguish the face of this pioneer at all. Well, every session in the pioneer camp reminds of the previous one, he said calmly. Probably. This is my first. It shows. The pioneer grinned. But it looks like it won't be the last. Well, it's fun here and all, but you know how to say there's no place like home, but you still have to get back there. No, I was absolutely sure that this guy was hiding something from me. To be precise, he stood out too much from the camp's usual ordinariness, and was too different from the local inhabitants. And also what he's talking about is super weird, you know? The thing that you wanted to know about. What do you mean? You think I'm stuck here forever or something? I said, enunciating every word. The pioneer had no time to answer as the lunch bell sounded. He could still answer. Just because the bell rings doesn't mean you have to go right away. I turned my head towards the loudspeaker, and by the time I looked back, the guy was already gone. Thousands of theories and speculations instantly appeared in my mind, but I stopped myself, remembering all the apparent normality of this camp. After all, nothing supernatural has happened in these 5 days. Moreover, everything here seemed too natural, sometimes even boring. Maybe this pioneer didn't mean anything by that, and I just misunderstood him. Thinking that, I went to the canteen intending to feast. Sometimes it seemed to me that lunch here is akin to the crowds around the soup kitchens during a famine. Pioneers were running around, pushing each other, trying to crawl through the first meal and take the most comfortable table. I was calmly standing and patiently waiting for the cook to get me my assigned food rations. For lunch today we had okroshka, which I didn't really like, and cutlets with potatoes. A traditional Russian cold soup. Okroshka. I sat in a corner and mentally rejoiced that I will be able to eat in peace. My table was the furthest from the kitchen. I could reasonably hope that the pioneers who were looking for a free place wouldn't reach it. Or would reach it last. However, when I moved on to the main course, Slavya, Shurik, and Electronic appeared from the crowd. Can we? I had nothing against their company. The three blondes of the camp. Of course. Lunch was going surprisingly calmly, even Electronic wasn't jabbering as he usually does. I finally finished the meal, sprawled in my chair, and satisfied, clicked my tongue. Listen, do you know this pioneer? I saw him today. You know, he's so... I suddenly realized that I don't really know how to describe him. Well, about my height, same constitution... Hard to say, from such a description. Slavya smiled. Well, we have half a camp of such guys, if it comes to that. All in all, they were right. Why are you asking? It's just that I met him today. He was being kind of weird, and it seemed like I haven't seen him here before. Look in the canteen. I don't think he'll miss lunch. Why didn't I think of that? That's it. Okay, guys, enjoy your meal. I got up and started to slowly walk along the rows of tables. Lena and Xenia are sitting over there. I give them a friendly smile. Alyssa and Uliana are laughing and arguing about something. Olga Dmitrievna, surrounded by pioneers. Good thing she didn't notice me. There are hardly any free seats, but the guy from the morning is nowhere to be seen. The situation's getting more and more interesting. Looks like I won't find him here. Maybe he already had lunch? I headed to the exit. It was so hot outside that it seemed like you would instantly melt after coming out of the shade. I suddenly felt like sleeping. I yawned and headed to the camp leader's cabin in order to follow the domestic interpretations of the Archimedes principle. In the end, Olga Dmitrievna is unlikely to return anytime soon, at least I think so, and I'll definitely have a couple of hours to rest. Anyways, I really don't expect any other options to arise. Especially in this heat. The heavenly coolness in the cabin became my salvation. I took my clothes off and jumped into bed. Crickets were lazily chirping outside, the wind was shaking the curtains on the window, and I sank into a dream. Knocking on the door woke me up. The knocks were soft but insistent. I reluctantly got up and went to open it. Strangely, there was nobody on the doorstep. Ooh, we're being haunted! I rubbed my eyes and stepped out to look around. All the same, no one around. If you are there, ghosts, please stop. A dream, maybe? It was already 4 o'clock. I felt jaded. I probably shouldn't have slept in the afternoon. After all, I knew what was going to happen. I put on my boots, left the cabin, and locked the door. But where shall I go? All in all, there's not much time till dinner. A sudden thought came to me that it would be nice to refresh myself, so I went towards the beach. The sun has passed the midday mark a while ago. It gets dark early here in the south. I squinted and looked up at the flaming disk. Who was that just now? I flinched. Ah, you're creeping me out so much. The same mysterious guy was standing in front of me, and once again his face was hard to see due to the bright light. For a moment the sun blinded me so I could I couldn't see anything besides the faint contours of objects. Are you stalking me? No, I was just passing by. I'm your consciousness. I'm the cooler side of your consciousness, unlike the person who continues to narrate. He answered calmly. Then you should know better. So you haven't seen anyone? Correct. I rubbed my eyes, but it didn't help. Why didn't I see you at lunch? I asked bluntly. I wasn't hungry. He laughed. I blinked a few times and my vision came back, but the pioneer had miraculously disappeared once again. What the hell is going on here? Now I was absolutely sure that there was something strange about that guy. It must be directly related to everything happening around here. I'll have to find out. But for starters, it's good to confirm that I'm not mistaken and that he's not just a local pioneer, who's kind of weird. It was quite crowded at the beach. It looked like everyone from camp was here. Well, no wonder it's so hot outside. Olga Dmitrievna was standing just a bit further apart from everyone, keeping an eye on her army of pioneers. As soon as I thought that coming here might not have been the best idea, she noticed me. Hey, Semyon. You weren't at the lineup, and in general, you're just lounging around all day. I didn't know how to answer. And just how are you planning on becoming a proper pioneer? She continued more softly. Olga Dmitrievna in the camp? Is there a pioneer who looks a lot like me? She looked surprised. Maybe, I don't know. Why do you ask? Well, you're not that great of a leader. Oh, I'm just curious. Well, we have a lot of boys here. Alright, never mind. Someone's yell came from the riverside and Olga Dmitrievna rushed to its direction. Well, it looks like I'll be spared a lecture. I lowered myself onto the sand and stared at the pioneers playing in the water. After a few minutes of sitting here, Ulyana approached me. Why so sad? I'm not sad. Well, why are you sitting here all alone? Just thinking. About what? I decided to spare her my story about the mysterious pioneer. Well, imagine that you're chatting with a weird person, and you have to figure out what exactly is so weird about them. Simple. I just ask. She laughed. Too simple. But he won't answer. How do you know? Have you tried asking? No, but it's obvious. Ulyana didn't answer, just sat down next to me and let out a tired sigh. I'm all swimmed out. And what if they know something but won't tell you? Make them. But how? For a bit longer, we sat together talking about random things, and then I got up, said goodbye, and went away. It's time to find the mysterious stranger and get all the answers. The first place to visit was the bus stop. After all, this is where it all began. The road was empty as always. Only small dust tornadoes were occasionally visible on it. I was ready to turn around and go back to camp, but then I heard someone whisper. Don't trust him. What? Someone was hiding behind the monument. A pioneer was sitting there with his back to me. And once again the voice seemed strangely familiar. Who are you? I took a few steps towards him. Stop, don't come any closer. For some reason I froze in my tracks. Oh my god! From somewhere deep inside, an assurance came to me and I understood that I shouldn't argue with him. Alright, I'll stay here. Have you seen him? Talked to him? He asked nervously. What were you even talking about? Oh my god, there is doppelgangers. He was dressed in a pioneer uniform. You know who. And I definitely did know. He was talking about the weird pioneer I saw earlier. Yes, I answered after a few moments of silence. What did he tell you? The pioneer asked me in a pleading tone. Nothing, really. Did he give you advice? Did he tell you what to do, threaten you? No, nothing like that. Of course, he seemed pretty weird, but nothing more than that. Remember, he may not be alone. Or more likely, he is alone, but you may meet many pioneers here who look like him. And what about you? Who are you? Why are you hiding? Or who are you hiding from? You'll understand. In time. Just remember, the most important thing is to find the exit. Haven't been doing anything that doppelgangers have started to appear. All of a sudden, a strong gust of wind came through, ripping leaves from the trees and throwing an old paper bag in my face. Shielding myself, I averted my eyes. When I looked back at the monument, the pioneer was already gone. At that moment, I was overwhelmed by fear. Oh no! I need to go. Real, almost tangible fear. I remember being scared during my first hours at the camp. But back then, everything around me seemed kind and friendly. Now Sovyanuk revealed its fangs, getting ready to eat me. And ahead, the unknown. My body was covered in goosebumps, my throat was dry, and my hands were shaking. I tried to ignore it all and headed back to camp. It was already dinner time, but I had no desire to go to the canteen. After meeting the second mysterious pioneer, just thinking about the locals made me, if not afraid, then at least creeped out. I don't even know who or what they all are. And even though nothing had happened yet, it does not mean I can trust them. I stopped in front of the clubhouse, but then realized that this is not the best spot to be at. I could run into someone, which was not something I wanted to do at the moment. Almost running, I hurried towards the forest and walked a few meters along the path before finally stopping. No, I mean going in the forest could also mean... 'cause you're alone, it's the best place to be murdered. On one side, the mysterious pioneer, who always finds you, and being in the forest is really a bad idea. Well, two of them to be precise. On the other hand, all the other inhabitants of this camp who seemed absolutely normal. Either way, my decision to stand back and let everything resolve itself was under some serious pressure. At this point, it was clear to me I had to do something on my own. But what exactly? Everyone's probably having dinner, so I have a good chance to make it to Olga Dmitrievna's place without being noticed. I decided to take my clothes that I wore when I arrived here along with my cell phone. I won't be able to come up with a solid plan right off the bat, so for the time being, I might as well hide in the trees. I leaped up the steps and entered the building. My clothes were right where I left them, and my phone was where it was supposed to be, under my pillow. I quickly grabbed it and was ready to stuff into my pocket, but then I noticed something on the screen. The message window was open. The text read, "You're wrong, Semyon. You are so wrong." Ooh! This totally makes up for the unfair treatment of cake. It felt like my soul had left my body. I froze on the spot. I was shaking and my blood was pumping so hard it felt like my skull was going to burst open from the pressure. It took at least a full minute for me to come to my senses. Olga Dmitrievna could have typed in the message. Or one of the pioneers. It's easy to figure out how to do it even if they're not familiar with this technology. But no one besides me should know where I keep the phone. This event was the straw that broke the camel's back. Run out of the bus area, just keep going down the street, the road, and just never look back. I rushed out of the house determined never to come back here. Ugh. Night fell on the campgrounds. I had been sitting in the woods for a few hours, trembling at every noise. The spot that I chose was far away from the path, so it would be hard to find me. I was keeping a few plans in my head for the time being. To try and run, to kill every single person in the camp. However, on the other hand, one thought chased me, and I realized that I shouldn't behave like this because of some strange pioneer, or even because of that message on the phone. Oh my god, is this how Shurik felt? Didn't he mention something where they were gonna get us? Oh no! This is it. This is how we die. Semyon, this is how we die! All of this was reinforcing the thought that everything happening here was far from normal. However, there was no proof that anyone in the camp had anything to do with it. I could have stayed here until morning, lost in my thoughts, but I heard footsteps coming from somewhere nearby. Ooh, hide! Oh, oh no! So you decided to escape after all. I turned around but couldn't see the pioneer's face in the dark. Nevertheless, I was pretty sure that it was him. I wasn't afraid then. More precisely, I was so physically exhausted that I was prepared for any possible course of events and somehow managed to reason appropriately and to maintain the conversation. I wouldn't call this an escape. I'd call it more hiding than anything. I answered slowly, stretching every word. Huh? Then what is it? A tactical retreat. No! Don't smile at me with that creepy smile. Brilliant. He burst into laughter. Listen, why don't you tell me what's going on, who you are, what you want from me? What did that guy tell you at the gate? It seemed that he didn't even hear my question. This is a version of Semyon that's cooler and hotter than him. He told me not to trust you. I lied. I don't think that's a lie. Isn't that true? You're not supposed to? But on the other hand, I thought that's what he meant. Well, that's always the way for him, running away, hiding. I could hear irritation in his voice. I'm not sure what kind of circus you're running here, but I'm not going to be a part of it. Oh, why not? You're the star, after all. I couldn't see his face, but I bet he was smiling. Explain my part to me, then. You know, I was like you in the beginning. The first time everything went peacefully. Then I escaped. I tried to understand what was going on, got mad, and even tortured them to get the truth. He laughed crazily. I shivered. But it was pointless, continued the pioneer after calming down a bit. Pointless. And then I began to notice the lapses. At first I just heard their voices, from a distance and sometimes in my head. Then vague silhouettes appeared. Then they slowly took on physical form. And finally they stepped into my world. I could touch them, introduce them to other pioneers. And they all were different. Different, do you get it? Different. He started shouting. And it reoccurred again and again. You could get used to the loops, but... Then I learned how to get into their worlds by myself, to interact with the others, but it turned out that I'm not alone. There's lots of us. Today you saw at least one more. He fell silent. I didn't know what question to ask, and didn't want to interrupt his story, so I simply waited. After a minute he continued. It's not that simple, of course. And it's not always possible. Only under certain circumstances. When you feel strong emotions, for example. I instantly remembered how I saw him the first time, the time when I didn't feel any emotions at all. Including the moments when you feel happy. As if he was reading my thoughts. I see. So you're trying to say that there are several parallel worlds, including the same camp with its inhabitants, where I'm replaced by you or that guy I met at the bus stop? Yeah, something like that. His answer didn't surprise me at all. In the end, it's clear that whatever happens here is beyond the limits of human understanding, and this theory didn't even seem all that unusual. But you've said that everything reoccurs. Yes, it recurs. And what will happen? Afterwards. You'll start from the very beginning. You'll wake in the bus, come to the camp, meet Olga Dmitrievna, the girls, electronic. But if it happened to you, then why should it happen to me as well? Get shifty eyes. It happens to everyone. Once again he laughed hysterically. And how many loops have you experienced so far? I stopped counting them already. At first I tried to remember them though. Maybe a few hundred. No wonder. It was very clear to me that this guy was suffering from a progressing mental dysfunction. But you searched for a way out, didn't you? He didn't answer. That's what this guy at the bus stop was talking about. Because he understands nothing, damn it! He shouted. Because he's just like you, constantly running away, hiding. What would you suggest then? If I had any suggestions, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you. Alright, but you were trying, weren't you? Are you trying to understand what I know, since I've been around here for a long time? He asked cheerfully. Well, that's evident. Yes, I did try to run away from here. There. He waved towards the forest. Is nothing there. Nothing but trees. When I had been walking there for several days and finally passed out, I found myself in the bus again. Same for walking along the road, it's endless. Talking to somebody about that is pointless. You probably already understood that by yourself. I did. I interjected. Even if you try to explain your situation directly, at best you'd just be considered an idiot. What if you try to not leave the bus? It's pointless. Sooner or later, you'll be found. I even tried to spend the entire time there. In the end, I fell asleep and everything started from the beginning. And what if you started by yourself and leave? No keys, and I don't have any carjacking skills. A cursed cycle. Exactly. A long silence fell. Finally, I asked, and what about the people around here? Don't they raise absolutely reasonable suspicions? Suspicions? Laughter again. The only thing that's suspicious about them is that no matter how much you tell them, they stare at you with their eyes out on stalks. The people, I feared them at first too. Then I used them for different experiments. And now I don't consider them humans. They're all dolls, puppets. Oh no, not electronic. Not Senya. You can easily predict any reaction, any word or action. So they aren't worth fearing, are they? The one worth fearing is yourself, he said softly. Do you know how funny it is when human bones crack as they slowly break from distension? Looks like he has finally lost his marbles. Well, I'm pretty sure he lost them a long time ago. Listen, I understand everything, but the other one thinks that's a bit too much, too. But it doesn't matter. Nobody but you is real here. The pioneer suddenly fell silent. Well, no, I don't agree with you. You're probably thinking, why didn't I check this all by myself, aren't you? Why didn't I try to reach the nearest village or town? Yeah, I did have such thoughts. Why wasn't I suspicious? Why was I doing different stuff instead of searching for answers? Well, yeah. Forget about it. That's normal. We all behave like this for the first time here. But how many others have you seen so far? Not that many. The pioneer was lost in thought. About 10 people maybe, but I'm sure there's many more of them. And is everyone like this? In fact, yes. Only the details are different, but the main thing is invariable. There's no way out of here. And by the way, you're just like the majority of them. The only thing that differs is that you have heard everything from me instead of experienced it for yourself. I don't know if I should thank him for that. Well, and what now? Nothing, he said shortly. I closed my eyes and lost myself in thought. That was a critical mistake. When I opened my eyes, I didn't see anybody just like the previous times. So it's clear what's going on now. But in fact, how could everything he said guide me to an answer? Yes, I'm not alone. Yes, everything recurs. But what's the reason for all this? And what's more important, where's the way out? The only useful thing that I extracted from the conversation was that the local inhabitants were not worth fearing. And that was quite significant to me for now, since it was much better to sleep in a warm cabin instead of the forest. I sighed, took my things, and headed towards the camp. As I was walking, the conversation from my fellow sufferer popped in my mind every now and then. Why did I not ask him about the message on my phone and some other stuff? There were hints, after all. Maybe if I had found some details out, I could have drawn some conclusions. However, it didn't seem like our meeting would be the last one. The lights were on in Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. I opened the door gently and went in. Speak of the devil, here you are, the camp leader said angrily. Olga Dmitrievna, I'm so tired now, so let's put off the lecture. Tired from what, I wonder? From being stalked? From crazy person? From everything. I snapped rudely. The camp leader looked at me with surprise. I fell into bed without undressing. Semyon, a role model pioneer, shouldn't behave like that. And how should he behave then? Well, not like that. The camp leader stumbled for a moment as if struggling to pick the right words. He should respect his seniors. I'm older than you, so... I respect you immensely for sure. Semyon. The sarcasm in my voice didn't go unnoticed. And now I'd like to sleep. Wait, By the way, how far is the nearest town? When does the bus arrive? How can I even get out of here? I asked in a surprisingly calm voice, which is not what I portrayed. There was no answer, and there shouldn't have been any. I said all this just in order to get rid of her. Why are you silent? I'm tired. Let's talk about that tomorrow. The camp leader got up and turned off the light. Yes, it's all just like that guy said. Why did I speak to him so calmly and properly, I wonder? I should have been shivering from horror. The pioneer didn't have much credibility, but I had a feeling that he's unable to harm me. As soon as I thought that it would be a good idea to ask something else, fatigue overtook me and I passed out. The bright sunlight was striking my eyes even through my eyelids. I stretched out lazily and quickly got myself out of bed. It was 2 p.m. Looks like yesterday really finished me off and my body required much more time to recover than usual. I had a stroll around the room thinking of what I should do today. Obviously, my life in camp would never be the same again after everything that I'd heard from that strange pioneer. And if everything's just as he said, I had plenty of time ahead. I grabbed my hygiene kit and went outside. I managed to take only a couple steps as somebody ran into my back. I turned around and saw Alyssa. Hey, be careful, said she indifferently and ran on her way. She held some kind of bag in her hands. Whatever. Yet another ordinary day in this crazy place. I finished brushing my teeth and then spent an eternity washing my face with ice-cold water to bring myself to my senses and refresh my head at least a bit. I felt a bit better after that. Suddenly, hope struck me from nowhere. It wasn't a hope that I'd be likely to leave this place safely. Rather, I just didn't want to believe that everything is as bad as that guy told me. Good morning. I heard a faint voice coming from the woods. Someone stood behind a tree. Morning. Are you ready? Ready for what? I looked again, and it seemed like it was the pioneer from the bus stop yesterday. Indeed, I was prepared for such a weirdness today, so I wasn't really surprised and started this conversation quite clear-headed. Oh. You don't believe him, did you? Oh, you didn't believe him, did you? What are you talking about? Everything that he said. All right, but what is your opinion on what is happening? I had already distanced myself from the outside world and decided to treat everything happening to me just like a fictional film, not reality. Hopefully it would give me more room to move around in terms of situational logical analysis. There's an exit. There has to be, he said excitedly. I don't know, but I like to believe that too. If you just... Semyon. I turned around. Slavya was standing right next to me. Who are you talking to? No one. Just talking to myself. Quite literally. I hardly think it's worth telling her about aliens from parallel worlds. She probably can't even see them anyway. Have you prepared already? Prepared for another hike? No. Today's the last day of the session. What? A stupid smile settled on my face. There will be a bus this evening. We're leaving. Ooh. Last day. Holy cow. I was ready for even the most incredible twist, but Was this what the mysterious pioneer was talking about? Probably he was. Well, apparently I'll have to go for a second lap and live yet another week in this camp. But this time I know everything. I haven't packed yet. It's not like I have much to pack anyway. Okay. Slavya shifted her gaze. Seemed like she wanted to say something, but hesitated. Well, see you then. Yeah. I had to ask when we're leaving at least. I went to the square with the intention of discovering that. There's got to be someone I know there. But believe it or not, there was only Genda waiting for me at the square. Probably all the pioneers are busy with packing. I took a seat on a bench and just stared at the sky. Turns out that today I just had to wait for the departure, pass out on the bus, and wake up in this camp again, just like the first day. Everything was drowning in silence. It's exactly that time of a summer day when the sun seems stuck in the sky. The birds and crickets have gone for an after-lunch doze, and the wind is saving its energy to deliver long-awaited coolness to people in the evening. It suddenly crossed my mind that I haven't just missed lunch, but I haven't had any breakfast either. It was ridiculous to search for anything in the canteen. The pioneers had surely cleaned up everything just before the departure. I scratched my head and made my way to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. Surely there should be something edible in the table's drawer. Someone called for me just as I approached the door. Shurik and Electronic swiftly approached the cabin. Are you already packed? Already packed up, I answered, imitating him. You haven't quite been yourself the last few days. What makes you say that? How should I know? You'd know better. I mean, why are you so concerned? No reason. A real pioneer always treats a comrade's problems as his own. I cast a spectacle look at him. Thanks for your concern, I'm fine. There actually was half a loaf of stale bread and a piece of smoked sausage in the drawer. I've ate everything with deliberate pleasure, washing it down with smelly water. Ew! That Olga Dmitrievna probably used to water the plants. Just as I finished, someone started knocking on the door. Come in. Olyana rushed into the room. Oh, it's just you, she said disappointedly. And who did you expect to see, a circus complete with bears? Olyana giggled. Where's Olga Dmitrievna? Don't know. I shrugged. Why not? I don't know because I don't know. What do you want from her anyway? Gotta ask something before the departure. Okay, I'll tell her that you're searching for her if I see her. By the way, why aren't you packing up? Like I have much to pack. Well, see you. She cracked a sly smile and bounded out of the cabin, slamming the door behind her. And still, it's really strange that nobody seems to be puzzled by the sudden departure. And why am I the only one who's not expecting it? Like everyone really cares if I've packed up my things. As well as that, doesn't anyone care that this is the last time we're seeing each other? The words of the guy in the forest yesterday about all the camp's tenants being unreal suddenly sprang in my mind. Well, right now I'm more ready to believe it than ever. The desk drawer where I found my breakfast contains lots of odds and ends. I grabbed a pencil and a piece of paper, examined them for some time, then slipped them into my pocket. Just in case. I had no intention of watching over all the pioneers running around and packing, so I just lay on my bed and didn't even notice how I dazed off. It was somebody's voice that woke me up. A familiar pioneer was sitting directly opposite, with his back to me. I'd gotten used to him a bit since yesterday, and it even seemed that I stopped fearing him. Hey, why do you always hide your face? Because you shouldn't see it. If you say so. I wasn't in a position to argue. So what are you going to reveal this time? You already know that it's the last day of the session, don't you? Yeah? And you've already spoken with that one? Yep. So what did he tell you? Nothing special. He said that there's an exit out of here. The pioneer burst into laughter. Yeah, I believed that 2 ages ago. And now? And what is it now? I have my past, my life back then. He stopped talking for some time. Anyway, it all was a long while ago, so I don't really remember. The future's all the same. Loops, 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 repetitions of the same story. Where is this now? Well, I hate to say it, but I'm not yet as lost in time as you are. Oh, that's nothing. That'll come with time. He broke into diabolic laughter. There's just one thing I don't understand. What's your reason for coming to me? What do you expect to achieve? Me? Nothing really. So why did you come then? It's just because you, him, and the others like us are the only real people around here. Given everything he'd said to me already, I just wasn't ready to believe that all the local tenants are just puppets in some kind of hellish stage play. Are you sure that you're right? Right about what? Well, that you're right about everything. I can't be right or wrong. I didn't choose this world. I didn't throw myself into it. I'm just here, and you're just here. Listen, I've already had a headache from your philosophizing. I was kind of puzzled myself as to why I was so calm talking to this mysterious pioneer. Well, here it is, right in front of me, all the fantasy and devilry that's happened in this camp. Here it is, an explanation, at least a partial one, for how I got here. Here they are, the answers I've searched for such a long time. On the other hand, my behavior was quite logical. While I couldn't quite explain what was happening, this cuckoo guy just talked and talked, but it's not like his words changed anything. Then what's the point of listening to him? Oh no. You will understand everything yourself. You will soon understand. Wait, did he just disappear? Somebody was knocking on the door. I got up to open it. It was Slavya on the doorstep. You came to see Olga Dmitrievna? No. Come in then. I was 100% sure that the pioneer had already disappeared. Turns out I was right. Slavya took a seat on the bed and I snuggled against a wardrobe in the far corner of the room. She was distinctly nervous. Did something happen? Not really. It's just today's the last day. Well, I'm already aware, better late than ever. Well, so I thought. I mean, we probably won't see each other ever again. It's a small world, as they say. But maybe you would give me your address to write letters? I would have, if I only knew it myself. You know, let's do it the other way around. You give me your address. I'll definitely write to you upon arrival. But why don't you want to give out yours? Well, we were just about to move, so you never know. It's better if I write to you. I tried to put on my cutest smile to make my story look more credible. Ah, okay, it's fine then. Slavy got up and seemed to be leaving. Hey, wait, what about the address? Let's do it later. An expression of sorrow and disappointment crossed her face. I just shut the door and right then heard the spiteful voice of the pioneer from behind. Well, happy now? You've heard a girl. What have I heard her with? What should I have said to her? My dear, write to my dear granny in the village? Or should I have left her the address of a house that's probably not even built yet? So what? I'm not my brother's keeper. It's your world, not mine. I'll manage somehow on my own. Isn't everyone dead in yours? The last phrase really made me squirm. You know what? I didn't manage to finish the phrase. Someone was knocking on the door again. Come in. Ulyana flew into the cabin. Why the rush, my lady? I made an excessively showy bow. Me? I'm just... Her eyes darted out cautiously and her cheeks were blushed. Just wanted to say goodbye. There'll be time for that anyway. After all, we'll all be going on the same bus. Yeah, you're right, but it's kind of embarrassing in front of everybody. Oh, so there's something that you can be embarrassed by? I laughed. She pouted. I just wanted to say that you aren't a douche. Really, in fact, you're almost a cool guy. Her words astonished me. I'm surprised. Well, thanks. You're good to hang out with, too. Well, that's it. She rushed outside, slamming the door loudly. Hey, didn't expect that from her. Did you? I got nothing to do with that, I told you. It really looks like you knew what she'll say. Maybe I did, maybe not. You just came here to mock me? I started to lose my temper. That idea had also crossed my mind. Then why the hell are you hanging around here? If I ever need a man to comment on all my actions, I'll hire a professional psychologist. Shifty eyes. You think that after all this time I don't qualify as one? My estimation is that after all the time here, you're definitely gone bananas. I don't think you qualify as one simply because you mentioned that you've tortured people. I'm pretty sure you're the one who tortured them. Seeing as you're the one who's being the super bananas one. All psychologists are freaks. Yes, but not all freaks are psychologists. He laughed out loud. Sense of humor, how encouraging. Frankly, your jokes are fairly lame. Who are you laughing at? At yourself. Listen, if you've got nothing to do in your own world, go and bug that second one. And have you got anything to do in your world? The pioneer sharply countered. You know, I'll find out what to do. I'll pack my things, leave this camp. And then what? Then what? Like I know. I've never been in such a situation before, believe it or not. It's just that you've forgotten that you won't be able to leave the camp. Yeah, he was right on this matter. Probably. Just because you failed to do so, that doesn't mean that I will fail to. You're the boss. There was knocking at the door. So quiet that I barely heard it. Damn, who else is it? I hissed under my breath and shouted, Come in! But the door didn't open, so I pulled the handle myself. Lena was on the doorstep. It looked like I really scared her. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to... You came to see Olga Dmitrievna? No, she said, staring at the ground. So what is it then? What did Lena want from me? Come in. She came in and hesitated in the middle of the room. Want to take a seat? I pointed at one of the beds. Lena hesitated a bit more, but nevertheless took a seat. Did something happen? Not at all, it's just... She threw a quick glance at me but blushed once and looked away. Here. Lena took something out of her pocket and handed it to me. I was stunned. It was my phone. But where did you get it from? I found it in the forest. Okay, but why did you think it's mine? Some boy told me so. Have you ever seen him before? I don't know. I didn't see his face, but he was dressed in a pioneer's uniform, like everyone else in this camp. Everything was clear at once. And don't you wonder what it is? I looked at the screen. There was still some battery left, therefore the cell phone shouldn't have just looked like a piece of plastic to Lena. I don't know, some kind of game? Yeah, you're right. I quickly opened Snake in the menu and handed the phone to her. Here you go, a keepsake. Oh, what are you doing? I can't... You're giving her a phone that's dying. Lena waved her hands at me. I'm just surprised that the phone's lasted this long. Take it. I have loads of these at home. She resisted a bit more, but finally took the device. And what do I do with it? Press the keys to move left and right. You've got to eat these pellets and keep them from hitting your own tail. Wow, it's so interesting. She smiled. Thank you, and yet I have nothing for you. It's so embarrassing. I don't need anything, thanks. No, that's not good, she said with a voice that sounded more confident than usual. It's the last day today, after all. Yeah. I hope we'll meet again. I think we will. And I have a present for you. And what is it? Close your eyes. I did so. And promise that you won't open them until I tell you. Okay. No, you have to promise. All right, I promise. In a moment, I felt a light kiss on my cheek. I was really eager to open my eyes, but I promised. Open. The room was empty. What a girl. The only thing I managed to say. So, how does it feel, stud? I just like how this This version of Semyon just keeps antagonizing him. I heard malicious laughter from the place where Lena had just been sitting. So that's your new way of pranking me, eh? Use the others. Me? Pranking? God forbid. Indeed, you've got a kiss from a sweet girl thanks to me, on the cheek, but anyway. I really wanted to beat him up at that moment, but I wasn't even sure that he's a physical being here. I presume that this prank wasn't your last one? I said calmer. Who knows, who knows? Isn't it fun? The pioneer laughed hard. Perhaps Professor Moriarty laughed like that, anticipating the success of his diabolical plan. You're certainly having fun, but I'm not. Relax, dude. There's almost nothing left, and here you go, your second lap. After you do a dozen, then you'll earn a pit stop. Although you probably won't need me then. You'll figure out everything yourself. It's not like I need you right now, either. No, what ingratitude. Just cut it out. If you'd ever. Just shut up already. No understanding. Shut your damn mouth. I screamed so loud that the walls trembled. The front door suddenly burst open and Alyssa came in. Is it just me, or has someone gone completely nutty nuts? She asked with fright. Well, you could say so. I answered angrily. Why are you yelling? 'Cause I want to. I've already realized that the accidental arrival of Alyssa was either planned by this pioneer or would be commented on by him in a manner that I'd sooner drive a pair of nails into my ears than have to hear. Have you gone psycho or something? Alyssa reclined on a bed in a laid-back manner. To what do I owe the honor? I came just for the sake of it, and you're just here screaming. You aren't doing anything just for the sake of it? I've got nothing to do. I've packed my stuff. It's boring. Well, well. If you think that I came to you because... She threw an angry glance at me and turned away. I really shouldn't have come after all. After what? I haven't said a word. Oh, after that. Of course, you thought it instead. Oh, so you can read minds now? There's no need to read your mind. It's written all over your face. It was hardly possible to read anything on my face besides fatigue and anger. And what have you read there? That's none of your business. Well, it's not like I'm holding you here. Forget it. I'll go wherever I please. Don't boss me around. 'Kay, stay here then, for God's sakes. Anyway, I like Alyssa's company much more than the pioneers. I lay back and closed my eyes. It took Alyssa a few minutes to break the silence. You really don't want to tell me anything? For example, today's the last day after all, so you're happy? Well, she babbled uncertainly. Everyone's leaving. Good riddance. And that's all? You need something else? Didn't you like it here? She sounded unusual. I've seen better places. Damn, you're so dumb that speaking to you is a complete waste of time. She got up and headed to the exit. Yep, good luck to you too. Alyssa turned to me. Her face was writhing with anger. Couldn't you at least have said that you'll miss me? Why would I miss you? Sure I will. Wimp. It's not wimpy if I'm not gonna miss you. Bye. She slammed the door loudly. Stupid. Alyssa didn't hear my last line, of course. What a wayward chick, huh? As good as you are. Stop coming back. And you in that case. Of course, keep comparing me to yourself, I remarked mischievously. And what's the difference? We're in the same situation. I've just been here a little longer. Well, in fact, a lot longer. And you've already gone completely nuts. No wonder. His hoarse laughter was really pissing me off. Listen, have I already told you that you should be an actor? You'd do a brilliant Hannibal Lecter. He's probably eaten them too! Ooh! Who knows what he's done? How long he's been here? Considering he's all like, I've done experiments. They're not human to me. Especially since you consider yourself a psychiatrist. I'll think about it. Well, now I should go. Maybe I'll see you again. Get lost. I turned to look at him, but the pioneer had already disappeared. Oh, finally. But nevertheless, why did he come? It might be the case that me, him, and the others like us are the only real people around here, but I desperately didn't want to believe that. All his speech seemed like some sort of complex game. Like he's trying to give me one hint after the other, trying to lead me to something, enabling me to understand some kind of devious plot. Too bad he's not really successful at that because I'm out of ideas. The time dragged on deceitfully slow, but it's 5 p.m. already. It's common during the summer if one counts the seconds and minutes, it appears that even It's common during the summer if one counts the seconds and minutes, it appears that even a single hour would never end. But if one thinks of anything else, then the whole day flies by quickly. I decided to start packing. They could leave without me. I quickly took all my winter stuff and shoved it into a bag. I was almost about to jump into bed again, but the door opened and Olga Dmitrievna came in. Oh, I see you're packed up already. That's great, let's go. I got up reluctantly, grabbed my simple luggage, and followed her. I really don't care what will happen next. I had long suspected that nothing was up to me in this world, and recent events had reinforced my complete confidence in this. I might wake up tomorrow in bus number 410, or might not wake up at all. And that's all, folks. It's all that simple. There's no point in staying here. There's nowhere to run. Basically, my only exit is to leave on the bus with everyone else. Go into the unknown. That's all I've been doing for the last week, stumbling along a narrow path in pitch-black darkness, unsure of where the beginning is and where it will end. We were almost approaching the gates when I heard someone calling my name. Semyon, Semyon. Olga Dmitrievna, excuse me just a minute. Okay, but make it fast or we'll leave without you. I headed for the bushes that the voice came from. Semyon, Semyon. I wandered through the thick greenery and came out onto a forest path. The voice seemed to be calling from nowhere. One moment it was heard from behind a tree, and now it seemed to be behind my back. Probably it's one of those aliens from the parallel world, but I suspect that I haven't met this exact one before. We don't have much time. I'm listening. I know that you've already been contacted by him and him. Yeah? And I know what they've told you. Don't ask me how. Okay. But you must know one thing, the thing I know. There's more than a dozen of us here, in fact, more than 1,000. But a lot of people got out. I've tried to digest what he said and phrase the right questions. Then, why are you here? I stayed. Why? To help others to find an exit. Wow, how generous. And why should I trust you? You're the third one already. Well, in fact, I'm not even sure that you all aren't just my hallucination. It's not about trust. Then what is it about? It's about the right choice. Consider this camp to be a giant maze. You should take a few right turns to find an exit. Right? And how do I know which ones are right? You will know. Come with me. Where to? To the second lap. Hold on a sec. The pioneer said that my second lap will start tomorrow. He lied. The speaker raised his voice. He's gone completely crazy and he's trying to destroy all the others. So if I don't go with you and leave on the bus, then I'll be destroyed, right? I don't know. Then why do you say so? No one ever returned after a conversation with him. Listen, why should I trust you? I was definitely on the edge. While the pioneer just mocked me and didn't seem to be a real danger, this one clearly spoke about things worth being anxious about. I couldn't decide which one I should trust. This problem was like trying to get a blind man to say whether the light in the room is on or off. He can only guess. Just like me. Hurry up, time is running out. Hey, wait a sec. Make a choice, are you coming or not? This is a critical moment. kind of just not want to follow the voice. No. You know what? I can't just believe you in only a couple of minutes. At least, I've known that the other guy for a little longer, and his arguments seem to be more weighty. You'll be sorry. Those words sounded like they were coming from another world. The voice seemed to disappear. Of course, I couldn't be sure whether my choice is right or wrong. It was a blind guess enforced by a time limit. Nevertheless, whether I'm right or not, we'll find out soon. In a couple of minutes, I was standing at the bus stop with all the other pioneers. Everybody's here? Began Olga Dmitrievna. You're leaving our camp today, and I'd like to tell you something in parting. She was visibly nervous and desperately lost for words. I hope that you'll remember the time you've spent here for a lifetime, and that you'll retain only pleasant memories about Sovino. I also hope that you'll become at least a little bit better, manage to learn something, and found new friends. Just come back next year. The camp leader looked away. It's like she was trying to keep the tears inside. I didn't expect her to get so emotional. Although her speech sounded like complete nonsense to me as usual. The pioneers started to crowd into the bus babbling cheerfully. I decided to hold on a little and say a proper goodbye to this camp. All of a sudden I felt a deep urge to throw a coin. Of course there's no fountain here, and I honestly didn't feel like returning, but it's still just a superstition, and I don't believe in them. At least I never believed in them before. Digging through my pockets, I found only a couple of candy wrappers, a pencil, and a scrap of paper. I held them for a moment, then squatted, put the paper on the ground, and scribbled a few words. You are here for a reason. Grinning at my stupidity, I threw the scrap under the wheels of the bus and got into the cabin. People. I found a place in the middle. But the strangest thing was that everyone sat in pairs and only I was alone. However, what's the difference now? I'll either disappear or we'll restart everything in a couple of hours. The bus was slowly moving towards the district center, occasionally bouncing over the bumps in the road. It was impossible to see anything beyond the old windows in the pitch-black dark of the night. Anyway, I couldn't care less about the surrounding countryside. I just sat and waited for the inevitable. For the first time in a long while, my head was completely empty. The pioneers around me enjoyed the trip. Uliana and Alyssa were playing cards. Lena was reading a book, and Slavya was sleeping. Miku was trying in vain to start a conversation with Xenia, and Xenia was trying really hard not to start killing people. Electronic and Shurik were crafting something as always. I was the only one completely ignored by everyone. It might be a slightly far-fetched perception. I got used to the role of being the center of the universe in the camp. I thought that everything revolved around me. Well, that might be so up to a certain degree, but here and now I'm only a foreign object, an out-of-place molecule on the harmonic pattern of a crystal grid. I'm not sure how long we'd spend on the road, but sleep had already started to overcome me. I was desperately fighting Morpheus, trying to stay awake as long as I could. After all, it's quite possible that today is the last day of my life. Then probably it's reasonable to cling as hard as I could to these few hours of meaningless, useless existence. However, physical fatigue, and more importantly, emotional fatigue, took its toll, and I fell asleep. A sharp pain throbbed through my entire body. I felt it especially sharply in my temples. It feels like they're ready to shatter into 1,000 little pieces, giving the wind free access to my empty head. Probably I would not be able to stand even 5 minutes of such torture if I hadn't opened my eyes in time. I was somewhere. It was impossible to tell precisely where. My mind was clouded in mist, my thoughts were confused. The moment between the unconscious and conscious states when you vividly remember your dreams. Ah! I was going somewhere by bus and was about to doze off when suddenly a girl came up to me and began to speak quickly. I couldn't understand a word, but the girl looked very upset. I failed to understand what she needed from me. Time passed and she kept talking on and on. It was getting really annoying. I wanted to ask her to cut it out or at least calm down but I failed, either because I didn't manage to say anything or because my words didn't reach her. I couldn't even see her face. I was simply listening and staring and listening. Perhaps it wasn't important for me then. Surely you would not try to remember what a mosquito disturbing your sleep looks like. Surely you would manage to recall the frequency of its flapping wings or the inclination of its proboscis after that. And this girl is just one of millions of voices that disturb you from concentrating, from thinking, from falling asleep. The louder her voice grew, the harder it got for me to catch her words. The bus cabin, the seats worn by time, the uneven floor, the rusty ceiling, the cracked glass of the windscreen, everything was floating away, along with her. And then I felt a unique sense of relief. It didn't matter how real the bus and the girl had been, it was nothing but a bug to me. And here I am hanging in total emptiness and falling inside a dream. Wow, dreams can be really something. Not quite a nightmare, yet definitely not something pleasant. I got up, rubbed my face to get back to reality, gave a loud yawn, prepared to clean myself. It was a really gray morning. Unable to find my hygiene kit on the nightstand, I concluded that I could manage without it. It was hard to get dressed, my hands were trembling like hell. I looked at my reflection in the mirror and checked out my 2-week stubble. Well, perhaps Olga Dmitrievna has a razor. It was only when I went outside that I suddenly understood that I'm not in a pioneer's camp. I'm back in my apartment. And I've just come out of my room into a passageway, not out of my cabin. I was overwhelmed with surprise, with dismay, with fear, with even terror. But how? I sat down on the bed and buried my face into my hands, trying to remember the chain of yesterday's events. Yeah, the bus, the last day of the term. Yeah, I fell asleep, and woke up back home. Well, to some degree, it might even seem quite logical. It seemed that the initial astonishment has worn off during the first few seconds. After all, the fact that I came back like this after a week-long absence is no stranger than my sudden appearance at some pioneer camp of the 80s in the first place. The events of the last 2 days flashed before my eyes in an instant. The mysterious pioneer, his words. But how did I manage to get back to reality then? According to him, I was going to be stuck there forever, as there's no exit. On the other hand, I wasn't alone. That pioneer at the bus stop and the mysterious voice emphasized the contrary, that the exit exists. Does that mean I found it? I managed to get out of the endless loop? But how? Nevertheless, I wasn't sure whether I should rejoice or grieve. Over the last week, I'd kind of gotten used to the everlasting inner monologue, the search for answers and the in-depth analysis of everything, so simply I couldn't accept this fact as it was, without figuring out what exactly happened to me. Sure, he told me that I'm the only one who has observed the existence of the other guys, like me during this very first loop, but does that mean anything? Anyway, all his theories and ideas instantly collapsed like a house of cards. Now I had to decide how I should react. Of course I should rejoice. After all, I'm back to the real world. Maybe the last 7 days were just a dream. Indeed, there's absolutely no evidence that I really was there. I don't see my pioneer uniform anywhere. I look my age just like I did before. My phone's on the table fully charged. But one can't deceive one's memory. One can't live through such terrifically real experiences in a dream. I still remember the events of the whole week in great detail. Perhaps I was in a coma all this time. An ironic laugh escaped my lips. No, that's not an option either. Then, all's well that ends well? The last few hours in the camp flashed through my mind. Indeed, I wasn't hoping to get out, either from that camp or from that reality, and I was pretty much ready for another week. And another, and another. I'd accepted my role. I'd reconciled with my destiny. And what was I supposed to do after all that stuff that happened? I heaved a doomed sigh, got up from my bed with considerable effort, and went to my computer. That's weird, but according to it, only 14 hours have passed since my disappearance from the world, not a whole week. A new message is in the instant messenger. Hi, Semyon, yesterday. It was legendary. See you later. My college friend. It was him who invited me to that party with the rest of his college friends that I was going to attend. Suddenly all my senses came back to me, the headache, the dizziness, all the symptoms of a hangover. It looks like I indeed attended that party yesterday, and I was partying hard, so there was no pioneer camp? But then where did all these memories, emotions, and feelings come from? All of this was so incomprehensible that I became enraged. I began cursing foully, trying to tear my hair out, and hammering on the keyboard with my fists. I didn't return to a normal state until there was no keys left on it. Why should I care so much? Nobody worries when a dream or a hallucination ends. Moreover, people are usually glad that it happens. Was I really that prepared to stay there, that my return to reality became so unbearable, so undesirable for me? And then a simple and obvious thought crossed my mind. Perhaps I'm just going insane. Indeed, madmen frequently have visions which they perceive as reality. Besides, I had all the symptoms of insanity. I never leave the four walls of my prison, I never socialize, I have lots of psychological problems. Well, that explains a lot. My dark, nervous laughter echoed in the room. Guess it's the right time for me to visit a therapist, or rather a psychiatrist. Or should I just surrender myself to an asylum? Semyon. A horse, half my kingdom for a horse. I cried at the top of my lungs between bouts of my manic laughter. Dispute not with her, she is a lunatic. The racket my neighbors made on the wall calmed me down somehow. If I'm tripping that bad, it looks like only a lobotomy could help me. I just sat completely freaked out for several hours, doing nothing, thinking nothing, just staring at the monitor, long since gone into sleep mode. Finally, I moved the mouse and opened a few tabs in the browser. So it's new. F5, F5. As if the events of the past week had never happened. Come on. Do you have to grieve for a hallucination? Was it real? Sure. Lots of memories? Sure. Looks true enough? By all means, yes. Any proof? Nope. The verdict is clear, as is my future course. I have long suspected that my current lifestyle wasn't doing me any good. I wasn't ready for such an unusual event, but so what? I'll have to be more prepared for my next trip. Night, an endless stream of threads and images took my mind off my lamentations and considerations. An instant message window popped up most unexpectedly. Hi, how are you doing? Sure, quite an original way to start a conversation. Doing fine. The contact's profile was completely empty, not even a nickname, just a 9-digit number. You can't guess what kind of person it is on the other end by just looking at a number, can you? Sure, someday it will be all different. Unified digital identifiers instead of names, a couple of symbols for a biography, several bytes of personality, and 3.5 bits of feeling. Get home safely? Probably someone from yesterday's party. Seems like it. You do remember everything I told you yesterday, right? Well, I guess not. There was yet another message after a long pause. I see. Honestly, I don't give a damn who this is and why he's messaging me. Until this unidentified individual starts harassing me, I could easily tolerate his presence in my contact list. Well, that's okay. We'll meet again. We surely will. Sure, looking forward to it, yeah. Alright. Bye. I didn't reply. This odd, screwed-up day at last was slowly coming to an end. Going to bed, I yet again recalled in my head all the events that seemed so real for me. Where am I going to wake up tomorrow? Will these hallucinations return? Nah, I'll probably just forget everything. Strange. But now I'm really feeling that everything happening now is real. There was just a fiction, a game of deformed imagination, or really something fantastical, and here's reality. Sometimes inconvenient, sometimes it unfolds differently from how you'd wish, surprises you like this, but it's still reality. I fell asleep with these thoughts. Bit by bit my life resumed its normal course, and I started to forget the events of that week. After all, nothing bad happened. Even if it was indeed real, who cares? That was only 7 days in a pioneer camp. I wasn't killed, nobody kidnapped me to conduct experiments, I wasn't brainwashed. So why do I care now about the reason? And if it indeed was a hallucination, I could only hope that it won't repeat itself. I was still a shut-in. My computer and the internet were my only friends, and the keyboard was the only communication channel connecting me to the outside world. The F5 key became the main thing in my life again. Come to think of it, it really wasn't all that bad. Yet one day, a familiar combination of digits popped up on the screen. A strange contact of mine had come online again. Hey. Hey. How are you doing? Doing fine. Probably I knew him from somewhere, but who cares anyway. Any news? Not really. Stability is a sign of true class? One might say so. Oh, I see. This conversation was over for me, but he didn't seem to feel like that. So nothing has changed? Nope. Should it have? Well, it's not like you experience stuff like that on a day-to-day basis. Not everybody gets to experience it either. What are you talking about? Don't you get it? I was starting to. I prefer you to explain. Don't you remember the camp? It felt like an electric shock. All the events of the week immediately sprang up in my mind. My hands started to tremble, a cold sweat burst from my forehead. I turned around in horror, already imagining that I'd see aliens, ghosts, or the Grim Reaper. But there was nobody in my room except me, as always. I ran to the corridor, checked in the kitchen and the bathroom, still nobody. At last I returned to the computer. The same message window was still flashing steadily, as if it was a perfectly ordinary message. Who are you? My hands were trembling so much I could hardly hit the right keys. Oh, so you do remember it. My hallucinations seem to be continuing, or did I never leave the camp in the first place, or is it just a dream after all, or... I don't know what to say, I admitted sincerely. Anyhow, I felt that this entity, that's the only definition that I could think of, doesn't need any kind of internet to communicate with me. Well, you can just keep silent. Everything's perfectly clear. That smiley at the end of the line looked like the devil himself, stretching its deformed jaws open to devour me. What's happening to me? I finally made up my mind to ask that question. Nothing at all. You're just living your regular life. But the camp, was it real? And what do you think? I'm not sure. If it seemed real to you, then yes, it was real. If not, then it wasn't. It's just that simple. It's not simple at all. What will happen to me next? I whispered. Nothing to worry about. It seemed that it really hurt me without the use of the internet. Terror chained my whole body. I closed my eyes and curled myself into a ball. Why are you doing this to me? I started to lose it. Words were coming out of my mouth by themselves, illogical, meaningless sets of words. Why? Why me? What for? What for? Leave me alone. I haven't done anything bad. Several minutes after, I found the courage to open my eye and take a look at the monitor. You are the reason for everything. The message window was flickering coldly. And what's next? Oh, you'll see that soon enough. Everything started fading to black in my eyes, noise filled my ears, and I started to feel dizzy. I felt that my very soul was escaping its physical shell. The events of the last few days became hazy, as if they'd all happened to someone other than me. Then the memories of the camp started to vanish, as if somebody was using an eraser to thoroughly rub out words written with a pencil. Moments later, I felt and sensed nothing, as though I was plunged into a state of cosmic bliss. If anyone saw me at this moment, they would notice that I was smiling. I'm kind of stuck here. I hit the report spam button, closed the window, switched the browser, and glanced at the clock. Time to get going, or I'm gonna be late. Achievement unlocked, forever alone. Semyon, good end. I have to mark this down. I'm surprised that was a good end for Semyon. I wonder... If that was the good end, then I wonder what the bad end is. Every story has its beginning and its ends. Every story has its own outline, synopsis, contents, key points, and a prologue and an epilogue. And there is no book which, if you read it again, would not reveal new details you didn't notice before. Every story has its beginning and its end. Almost every. Oh god, it's the cinematic again. You know, OBS doesn't say I'm dropping frames, but it always lags whenever it hits credits, or has the cinematic. Though, the cinematic looks like it's going a lot better than it did the first time. Ooh, what is that? Oh, okay, that's nice. It shows the endings. There's a lot. I mean, it's not bad to be forever alone. You could... There's some people who just, like, do better by themselves than being with someone. And they're okay with that. So it's not really a bad thing. But let's go see... Okay, since this is the end of this, and this is gonna be a very long video, I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna do Following the Voice first, and then I'm probably gonna check out what happens with going a different direction in the mines, and then seeing electronic, that instead of going to the infirmary. Follow the spooky voice. Okay, let's go. Anyway, he sounded more credible than the crazy pioneer. Of course, the solution could be fatal, but the alternative isn't any better. I just took a shot in the dark. Okay, so where are we going? We are already there. My eyesight started to fade and I felt my consciousness leaving me. Is it gonna jack my body? Rude. Epic Semyon, bad end. That was real fast. I can get behind this music. Ooh, what is this? Finally, I walked out of the tunnel into a rather large hall with a high ceiling. A rather high seal. Though it could hardly be called a hall. They must have used to mine something here. Coal, probably, or maybe gold. Or crystals. The walls have been cut by pickaxes or pneumatic drills. This place was pitch black, so my only salvation was the flashlight. If it breaks, it's unlikely that I'll ever get out of here. In its ray of light, I suddenly spotted a piece of red cloth. A pioneer's neckerchief. Shurik was obviously here somewhere. Shurik? Shurik! Only my echo answered me. But where could he have gone? There was no other way out. Maybe there are other places in these tunnels that I didn't see? So I should search further. It seems that there's just another fork in the road. Left? I was just here a few minutes ago. Can you get super lost in the mines? This is all I want. Oh. This is really creepy to look at. I returned to the place where I had begun. So I took a wrong turn somewhere. Let's continue searching. Just get lost forever, please. I think that's all that matters there. Okay. So we missed out on seeing the seeing that little special area in the mines. And I guess you can't get like super duper lost unless I need a really special combination of lefts and rights. I don't think you can get lost, which is a shame in my opinion. I was desperately hungry. I always took good care of my health. And even better care at the times when something started to hurt badly. And now I was able to walk and my feet weren't even hurting much. So my feet will heal up eventually while my hunger can't wait. I decided to take advantage of Electronic's invitation. In the end, knowing the local pioneers, it was smart to assume that there wasn't even a piece of stale bread left at the canteen. And the Cybernetics Club actually somewhat owe me. With such thoughts, I approached the club's building, and heard screams coming from it. I tried to listen closely, but couldn't figure out anything. Give it back. No, I won't. Liliana was running around the room with a coil of wire in her hands, chased by Shurik. I thought that was a donut. I was like, that's a big donut. Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Give it back. They didn't even give me a bit of attention. No, I won't. Shurik completely caught up in the chase, slipped past me, and almost knocked me over. Hey. Liliana was running in circles around the room, laughing cheerfully. I wonder what she needs this wire for. Meanwhile, the head of the Cybernetics Club was looking fine even after yesterday's madness. One could even say he was looking fresh. But this probably wouldn't help him to catch Uliana. She was smaller, more agile and faster after all. She could easily drive him to exhaustion. Hey. Uliana ran up to me and hid behind my back. Shurik, in his turn, left the club, slamming the door on his way out. He was offended, it seems. Hey, what's wrong with you? You won't catch me. She looked at Electronic, who was silently observing all this silly running, and stuck out her tongue at him. Semyon, take the wire away from her. And why do you need it in the first place? You don't have enough wire or something? He was trying to catch Uliana, who was hiding behind me. He moved to the right while she moved to the left. He moved to the left and she moved to the right. In the end, I got tired of this and grabbed the wire from Uliana with one dexterous move. Give it to me. Give it back. She shouted resentfully. No, I won't. Stop horsing around. I held the wire above my head so Uliana with her height couldn't possibly get it. Thank you. Okay, fine. She snorted and turned away from me. What do you need it in the first place? That's none of your business. Uliana looked at me slyly. Do you want me to tell everybody that you... I shut her mouth with my hand and dragged her along to the exit. Okay, we need to go. I told Electronic while giggling stupidly. And what did you come for? Once outside, I let the kicking Uliana free. Hear me out. You realize that it was an accident. Even more so, it was caused by you. I know nothing. Facts are facts. You were watching us. Oh. What would Olga Dmitrina think? On the one hand, I did not want to care in the slightest what the camp leader would say, but on the other, everything was against me and my position. It would be better to not get myself into such a situation. Fine, maybe we can make a deal somehow. She started to think. I know. I anticipated the worst. You bring me that wire. But what do you need it for? I need it for my needs. Okay, let's assume I get it. You won't tell anybody? I give you the word of a pioneer. I could hardly believe her. But on the other hand, it was just a coil of wire, so why shouldn't I try? I think I could save this for the next round, yeah? I mean, I just wanted to know what would happen if we went to electronics, and apparently it's just another branch. And I don't really need to do this right now, and if that's not the case, then I'll actually go through it. So, I think this is all I need. I wanted to look up, and I could figure out my thoughts from this entire run-through. Okay. My thoughts on this run-through, at least, you know, putting it all together, because I know I've said everything when it comes up. I usually just say it. It took 7 days to get this done. But in this run through, we didn't really get to do anything because I didn't choose anyone, really. So it just came off of Semyon just not doing anything. It was just him talking to himself most of the time because he doesn't want to listen. Because apparently the camp, I guess, that they're at, just there's a natural want to not look for answers, and it it seems like it sort of pushes them to, like, it manipulates them to not go looking for anything. Like, just go with the flow. Just keep going with the camp. That's all it wants from you. And since the doppelgangers came in, they mentioned that no matter what you do, it's sort of just a big loop. And it's really weird to know that there's all of these doppelgangers, and the evil one had, I don't know what the heck he did. He either stole our body or what. Because he mentioned that he tortured the peeps in his camp. And we don't know if he really did just start up and was looping through it. Or that was just the end for his and he couldn't do anything else about it. For me, despite the fact that everyone doesn't want to mention anything, I have like this distinct feeling that everybody is another person. It just seems like they might have something to do in the real world and they're not just in the camp. I mostly get that feeling from Xenia. If I'm wrong about that, it could be that they are just part of the camp and Xenia might be like, these are the options here. Everyone is actually like Semyon, but Semyon has more of a sentience for it, and actually, he is in fact newer to the camp, so he doesn't know, and everybody else probably knows not to talk about it. It's either that, or everyone really is only strictly related to the camp, with him either being the only one who knows, or him and Xenia. Because, like I said, I still have this feeling that Xenia, there's something about her. I don't know how I'm gonna get the harem ending, especially since my next thought is that I want to do Slavya next. I don't know how I would be able to go about that part. I'm gonna see how it goes, considering that I'm actually rather glad it went pretty well getting just Semyon's endings. Because it was just, okay, did the good end, done, and then go back, got the bad end, and it wasn't even like a whole convoluted, I had to choose different options for that. I don't know if that's gonna go the same way with the other girls. I do have a little list to remind me what I have to do, and I have Slavya, Alyssa, Lena, Miku, Uliana, there's a question mark, harem, and then there's the DLC. So there's a lot to go through. I don't know if it's gonna be as long when I go through it, because I will skip through dialogue we've already seen. And I don't know how different it's gonna be if I focus on one girl. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, we have a lot to go through still before we're done. And most definitely, from the cinematic, we will be seeing actual events that pertain to the character, and it's not just neutral. So that'll be nice to see, considering he hasn't really interacted with anyone, and he's finally gonna have to interact with people. I'm kind of scared to know what happens in the bad ends. Like, how is it gonna make me feel? Will I be very sad? And it was mentioned that one of these is a horror route, and I'm gonna be honest, I feel like it's gonna be Lena, just because in the beginning, where we had that jump scare, like, it could have just been a reference. After all, Semyon's been mentioning references like left and right. But with the way she acts, combined with the beginning jump scare, kinda gives the whole she might be the horror side of things. I could be wrong. And there could be more than that. It could, like, it doesn't even have to just be her that something spooky happens. I feel bad for Shurik, though. He had that one moment, all the voices, which were probably alternate dimension Semyons. Poor thing. We're gonna see how, like, the actual romance aspect is gonna be. I hope you enjoyed this extremely long video. And I hope to see you in the next ones, where we will start with Slavya. I don't know how long it's gonna be in comparison, because this run took 7 parts. And that's a lot of hours. I don't know if they will be exactly as long or they'll be significantly shorter. We'll have to see. So I hope you guys don't mind that we'll be doing Slavya next. Tell me who you like, actually. Like, who are your favorites? You know that I actually really like Xenia. Slavya comes in next. I'm gonna have to see about Miku, because I thought I was gonna be happy about that, because... Ooh, Vocaloid. But the way she's portrayed makes me go, I'm sorry, Miku. I can't, I need to leave. I understand now. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope to see you in the next one, and I super hope that you have a wonderful day and a wonderful night. You get that sleep, unlike Semyon. Goodbye.